Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margo Sonia and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
In my case, public humiliation on a global scale seems to be what was required.
Humiliation for him, outrage from others, and a lot of questions about alcohol revealing who you really are.
People say alcohol just liberates you to say what you really feel. It's what you really feel. It's not changing.
Well, that's patently false, I think, because it's like alcohol loosens your tongue and makes you act, say, and behave in a way that is not you.
Somebody said, I do not believe tequila can turn an unbiased person into a raging anti-Semite. Alcohol removes inhibitions in vino veritas.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the old Roman saying, in vino veritas, yeah. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. That's as simple as that is. Or they don't have the problem and they don't understand it.
Again, there are lots of people who get drunk and don't say anti-Semitic things.
Oh, yes, there are. People say all sorts of horrible things.
No, but who
about
don't.
anything. And not just anti-Semitic things. They say horrendous things. They say to their parents, I hate you and I want you to die. And, you know, I mean, they don't mean that stuff. It's the stuff that comes out when you're loaded it's extreme.
But if it's not in you, is it going to come out?
It has to have some kind of place somewhere. And you have to ask, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from?
And that is exactly where we will begin tomorrow.
Welcome back to the What a Creep podcast. I am your host, Margo D. And today, as always, is my amazing co-host, Sonia Mansfield.
Hello. I'm excited, as always.
We're both excited and we're both gripping the edges of our seat because we have an incredible creep to talk about today. So, Sonia, you are telling the story today. Why don't you tell everybody who you're talking about?
We are, well, I guess it's me, and you get to comment on Mel Gibson.
Woohoo!
I know. This is a really good one, you guys. And I want to say right off the bat, like, he blames a lot of his behavior on drinking. I'm not making fun of alcoholics. I'm just making fun of Mel Gibson.
And I want to just say we're expecting thunderstorms in New York. So if you hear a rumbling, that's what it is. Don't worry. Everything's okay here.
Okay, good. I was a little worried, actually. If I heard something, I would think Mel Gibson was coming for you.
We had tornadoes last night. They had a tornado watch in our neighborhood.
That's super scary.
It's the global warming.
Yeah, which totally isn't happening. It's fine.
No, it's not a thing.
It's not a thing. It's fine. You're safe. You're perfectly safe. We're not all going to burn. It's fine. Or drown. But let's talk about Mel Gibson.
Please.
Okay, so you guys, Mel Gibson is a huge movie star. He has starred in massive blockbuster movies. He's won Academy Awards. At one time, he was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. He was even People magazine's first ever Sexiest Man Alive. Mel Gibson is also a racist, anti-Semitic homophobe who somehow continues to work in Hollywood. Why? I have no idea, but we're going to start at the beginning. I put this together with a little help from my friends at Wikipedia, People.com, Gawker, Vox, and Vanity Fair. God bless you, Vanity Fair. You are doing the Lord's work.
They truly are. And I think they have a deal right now. If you sign up online for a Vanity Fair subscription, you know, their vanityfair.com, you can go back their whole catalog.
They have
that's your free.
They have the best stuff.
They do. That's your free plug, Vanity Fair. The one and only time.
And now, please sponsor our show.
Yes.
Mel Gibson was born on January 3rd, 1956 in Peekskill, New York. He is the sixth of 11 children. I didn't know that, but it makes sense. His mother is Anne Patricia, and his father is Hutton Gibson, a 1968 Jeopardy grand champion and a famous Holocaust denier. And
what?
I kind of feel like I should have mentioned the Holocaust denier part first. So my bad,
I'm
everybody.
actually equally shocked by both. But yes, please go on.
So let me just say right off the bat here. My dad says racist, ignorant shit all the time. And I usually respond by mocking him. And I say, that's a really interesting idea, Dad. Do you have like a newsletter or something I could sign up for? And that shit wouldn't work with Mel Gibson's dad because he spouts his anti-Semitic crap in multiple newsletters, including one called The War Is Now. And he has 3 self-published collections of his newsletters called Is the Pope Catholic? The Enemy is Here, and The Enemy is Still Here.
Wow.
Which I assume is a sequel to the other one. Or he's just not very good at naming things.
He's not very original with his titles. Okay.
In 2003, Hunt and Gibson did an interview where he questioned how the Nazis could have disposed of 6 million bodies during the Holocaust and claimed that 9/11 was perpetrated by a remote control. Cool dad, Mel Gibson. Look, I know you can't pick your dad, but you can choose whether or not to be like them. And Mel Gibson made his choice, as you will hear. I always thought Mel Gibson was Australian, but he actually moved to Sydney, Australia when he was 12, which means America and Australia gets to split the blame for Mel Gibson. In interviews, Mel said that he started drinking at 13 after he moved to Sydney. So let's keep that in mind because his drinking's going to come up a lot throughout this. Mel studied acting at the National Institute of Dramatic Art in Sydney. He had a lot of successful theater performances, and in 1979, he was cast in Mad Max. Funny story, the night before he auditioned for Mad Max, he got into a drunken bar brawl that left him with a broken jaw.
Wow.
So we can say whatever we want about Mel Gibson, but he's clearly a good actor who can act like he wasn't in a bar brawl the night before an audition and that he doesn't have a broken jaw because he got the part. And
did he speak with an Australian accent when he started?
I feel like he did, right?
I think he did. Yeah.
Well, I guess I could see that, right? You move there, you're kind of around it all the time.
Yeah, totally.
He was still pretty young. It's not like when Madonna moved to London and then started pretending
all of a
like
sudden she's not from
yeah.
All of a sudden she's not from Detroit. Yes. That was obnoxious.
Yeah, no one was buying that Madonna, sorry. But Mel Gibson, sure, I'll let it slide. So it's around this time that he met dental nurse Robin Moore, and in 1980 they were married in a Catholic church, and in true Catholic spirit, they had a lot of kids. 1 daughter and 6 sons.
Wow.
Damn. I have 1 kid, and that's exhausting. So I tip of the hat to you, Robin Moore. They were married for 26 years. We're going to get into that in a little bit. In the 80s, Mel's star was on the rise. He starred in a lot of really popular, like award-winning Australian movies. So like he did a movie called Gallipoli, I think is how you...
Gallipoli.
Gallipoli, thank you. In 1981, it's directed by Peter Weir. I love Peter Weir movies. He won the Best Actor Award from the Australian Film Institute for that performance. In 82, he did the sequel to Mad Max 2, which was released here as The Road Warrior, and that was like his first really big hit here in America. And he also did Peter Weir's The Year of Living Dangerously with Sigourney Weaver and Linda Hunt, and that movie actually won Oscars. It was pretty popular here, too. But it's
a good movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a really long time, but I remember thinking it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson's made some good movies. His first like real American movie was The River in 1984 with Sissy Spacek. And also in 1984 is the first time he's arrested for drunk driving. Whee! He was in Ontario and he was banned from driving for 3 months. So a real slap on the wrist, but also nobody was hurt. So that's good.
Okay.
But still, he's an asshole. People who drink and drive are assholes. Sorry, they are. Sorry if you drink and drive and think you're not an asshole. You are.
Okay, I won't do it anymore.
Yeah, come on, Margo. You could drink and ride the subway though. That's cool. Which is I know what you do, and that's what I do. In 1985, after working on a whole bunch of movies in a row, he took about 2 years off to work on his farm. I assume probably also to sober up. And he came back in 1987 with Lethal Weapon. And of course, that movie was massive, like super huge, like kind of set the template for like the like buddy cop action movie that we would get throughout the 80s and 90s. And then after that, he made Tequila Sunrise. Did you ever see that one?
Oh, yeah. It's
that
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. She's so beautiful in that movie.
Oh, my God. And Kurt Russell?
Yeah. I actually remember seeing it and thinking it was pretty okay. And I know that my mom loved it.
I think it's, to be honest with you, like, especially for the time, that's a threesome I would watch. Totally.
Yeah.
That's a threesome I want. Not the movie that exists.
Yeah. Not the one with Josh Charles and Stephen Baldwin. I want to see this one.
Lara Flynn Boyle.
Yeah. No. So there's, he also did Lethal Weapon 2, and then he did Bird on a Wire, which is not good. Air America, not good. And Hamlet, which is, it's fine.
Fine.
It was during his filming of Lethal Weapon 2 that he confessed to the director that he was going to AA, which is great. We like that. But he had been drinking a 6-pack of beer every morning. But apparently he's such a pro that like nobody knew this. He kept this pretty private. So all of these movies were huge hits, and Mel Gibson is beloved. Everyone loves him. He's a huge star. So beloved that most people overlook these like really obvious signs that he's a creep, including saying racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, and homophobic things. Also an alcoholic who's repeatedly on and off the wagon. Like I said, I don't mention this as an excuse for his behavior. I'm just pointing out that Mel Gibson often points out his drinking is his reason for his bad behavior.
Gotcha.
The fact that Mel Gibson is a huge asshole became a really big, obvious thing in 2006. But the truth is, he was an asshole long before that. He's super conservative. He's pro-life, who thinks, God gets to decide how many babies we have, hence why he has so many kids.
Oh, my God.
He's against stem cell research. In past interviews, he mocked gay men. So in 1991, he gave an interview with some Spanish newspapers. He's out promoting his movies. And they asked him what he thinks of gay men. And I think this is because, have you seen Bird on a Wire?
Yeah, he plays, one of his things is that he pretends that he's a gay hairdresser.
Yes.
And he does the very mincy, like Mr. Roper would say to Jack and Three's Company. He does that
like,
stuff.
Hello, I'm totally gay. Like that
All of a sudden, hand on the hip. Yeah.
Right. So that sort of thing. So it's coming up a lot. And I think that's why all these newspapers were kind of asking about it. So, and this is what he said when they asked him, what do you think of gay men? He said, and pardon me, you guys, I don't agree with this stuff. They take it up the ass. And then he stands up and bends over and points at his own ass. And then he says, this is only for taking a shit. And then when asked if he's worried that people will think he's gay because he's an actor, he said, with this look, who's going to think I'm gay? I don't lend myself to that type of confusion. Do I look like a homosexual? Do I talk like them? Do I move like them? Like gay people.
Yeah,
he's a huge asshole. He's always been a huge asshole. When asked to apologize for his comments, he told Playboy, I'll apologize when hell freezes over. They can fuck off.
Wow. When was that?
That was in 95.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He also, in that Playboy interview, said that men and women are not created equal. And then when asked, of course not, right? Religion, yay. When asked for an example of why he thinks that, he said, I had a female business partner once. Didn't work. She was a cunt.
Oh, wow.
So apparently one female business partner is all it takes for Mel Gibson to think that women are not created equal. Cool. So even though he said all this assy, offensive shit, it didn't stop him from winning all the awards in 1995 with Braveheart. He produced, he directed it, he starred in it. He won the Golden Globe for Best Director. He won the Academy Award for Best Director. And it won Best Picture. Did you see Braveheart?
I saw it, the year that it came out. And I remember actually really enjoying it. I think it's just a big spectacle, but it's not very historically accurate. If you talk to Scottish people, they get annoyed because he got a couple things really wrong.
Yeah.
And doesn't he like sensationalize one of the kings as being gay or something?
Yes. Yes. And that's another reason why this stuff started coming up. There was a whole thing where like one of the characters throws like a effeminate king like out a window or something because he's gay. It's just, he's an asshole. So he's saying his racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic things are all fine with Hollywood, apparently, as long as your movie's making a lot of money. The Academy Awards are pretty cool with sexual predators, too, and I'm sure we're going to get into that. They love to give awards to Woody Allen and Roman Polanski, and, you know, why should Mel Gibson be any different, I guess. So in 2004, Mel Gibson directed, produced, co-wrote, and funded The Passion of the Christ. Did you see that movie?
I refused to see it.
I did not see that movie.
No, I had a friend that was very, she was Christian, also very pro-life, and we were friends, but she really thought the earth was 6,000 years old and all that stuff. And she was like, she and her boyfriend went to see it, and she told me the next one, she goes, "Oh my God, I cried the whole time. You should go." I'm like, nope.
Yeah, no, it looks like, it's just like porn. It looks like violence porn or something. Like, it's just
right.
Isn't that all it is? It's just like they're super awful to Jesus the whole time. Pass.
Yeah, especially when he's being executed. What is the word I'm thinking of?
Crucified.
Thank you. God, I'm such a bad Catholic.
No, you're fine. I'm also bad Catholic, by the way.
Yeah. They apparently they were real assholes to Jesus as he was going up to the cross. Like, they really made a party of it. Depending on who you believe in the Bible, who wrote it, who tells the stories. But the crucifixions were no joke.
Yeah, I'll stick with The Last Temptation of Christ. Thank you very much. That one's actually a good movie. Or we could watch The Life of Brian. That's a good movie. Let's watch The Life of Brian.
That's the one I'll watch. We'll put that on the list for Dorking Out Show.
Yeah, always look on the bright side of life, you guys.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I didn't see it. I guess in the name of research, I could have watched it, but fuck Mel Gibson and fuck that movie. Gibson said that while he's making the press rounds, he said that God told him to make the movie and that the Holy Ghost directed it.
Sorry. That's what we're finding out with these assholes. They're so narcissistic.
Yeah, the Holy Ghost. Okay.
The Holy Ghost. Not even God, the Holy Ghost, of course.
Mm-hmm. And that anyone who isn't a true Catholic, and this is his wife included, wasn't going to heaven. That's okay. Well, if he's going to be in heaven, hard pass. The Anti-Defamation League accused him of anti-Semitism in the film, and when it comes out, and this is around the time it also comes out that Mel Gibson's father is a Holocaust denier, which I don't think was like hidden from anybody. It's just everyone started paying attention all of a sudden. So now it's like it's out there and they're approaching Mel Gibson's father, and his father's not like, "Oh, I'm not going to answer these questions." He's totally answering them and saying the Holocaust didn't happen.
Wow.
So after his father's Holocaust denial is sharply criticized in the New York Times by writer Frank Rich, Gibson retorted, this is Mel Gibson, not his father, I want to kill him, the reporter. I want his intestines on a stick. I want to kill his dog. He never refused to renounce his father's statements. And also, he threatened to kill someone's dog. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him.
No matter, because the movie was a huge success. It made, more than $370 million in the U.S.
Jesus.
It made $600 million worldwide.
Wow.
For a while, it was one of the highest grossing films in history. And I believe, as of this recording, it is the 5th highest grossing R-rated movie in history.
Wow.
Yeah. I can't believe people want to see it, because that kind of money means people went back and watched it over and over.
No. My friend said that the one I was talking about before, like she was in a Bible group, and it was one of those things, like if you wanted to get people to convince them to convert or come to Christ, to see this movie, and people would drag people to this thing, and then people would cry, and it was a whole thing. I remember this very well. That's another reason why I didn't go.
You're on
that. It scares me.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Years of CCD. I didn't need that.
Same.
Yes.
Same. Yeah. I was like, I instantly like reject this sort of thing. Like I can't help myself. The film was also nominated for 3 Oscars, for cinematography, makeup, and score. And even though Mel Gibson has a history of drunk driving and anti-Semitism, everyone was so shocked when, in 2006, Mel was arrested for drunk driving in Malibu. And here's where all the famous stuff comes in. So, according to the arrest report, Mel Gibson exploded into an angry tirade when the arresting officer would not allow him to drive home. And he said, "Fucking Jews. The Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Are you a Jew?" He's awesome. And then he said, one of the female officers was walking by and he said, "What do you think you're looking at, sugar tits?" Very famous.
Oh my God. I was saying to you off the air, I greeted you as sugar tits, by the way. And when this all happened, my next door neighbor and I, Aaron, from the Best Neighbors podcast, for about 6 months after this happened, we called each other sugar tits, like all the time.
Well, I also think
it's so stupid.
It's super stupid. I don't recall ever hearing that as a saying before.
It's not an expression.
No.
I don't know where he gets this. Unless there's like a white supremacist thing. Like, I don't know about incels. Maybe they have that in there.
Maybe.
And that's something you call a woman. But I was shocked by that. And he's all pissed off about Malibu is up in the mountains. Like, that is super dangerous to be drunk and driving there. Jesus.
Yeah, he could have killed himself or someone else for sure.
Well, yeah.
And I think sugar tits now is used more often by women to each other is kind of shorthand for bad behavior. So it's like, my boss basically called me sugar tits or, something like that. Like he practically invented a cliche is what I'm saying.
Yay, Mel.
Good job, Mel.
Good job, Mel.
Mel received 3 years probation and was ordered to enter rehab for alcohol abuse after he pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor charge of driving under the influence of alcohol in California. He issued a statement claiming that alcohol made him say, quote, "things that I do not believe are true, which are despicable. I know when I drink too much, I often say racist things."
You know what? I have a family of alcoholics. You and I, we're not making fun of alcoholism for sure. But I say this, I think it exasperates what you're really thinking or what you're insecure about.
Yes.
Right. And I have drunks in my life that were like happy drunks. I've had depressing drunks and I've had angry drunks.
Yes.
And the angry drunks are like Archie Bunker on crack. Like they just say the most, and it's what they really feel. Yeah. Let's be clear.
Alcohol makes people, it brings out like the things that were already in your heart.
Right.
Basically. Like he believes these things. He can issue as many statements as he wants. I believe that Mel Gibson is disgusting, anti-Semitic, homophobe, racist piece of shit.
Yes, I concur.
You'll hear a whole bunch more of these, like the alcohol made me do it. Blame it on the alcohol. Sort of thing. So after his arrest, even more stories about Mel Gibson's anti-Semitism started coming out. People started very publicly sharing their stories. So in a past interview, Mel said that he doubted that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust, telling an interviewer, and this is a quote, "I mean, when the war was over, they said it was 12 million. Then it was 6. Now it's 4. It's just a numbers game."
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, like father, like son. What an asshole. Winona Ryder shared a story with GQ magazine about an incident with Mel Gibson in the late 90s. And she said, "I was at one of those big Hollywood parties and he was really drunk." Surprise. Mm-hmm. "I was with a friend who's gay and Mel Gibson made a really horrible gay joke. And somehow it came up that I was Jewish. And he said something about oven dodgers."
Wow.
And I was like, he's anti-Semitic and he's homophobic, but no one believed me. I believe you, Winona Ryder.
No, you're telling the truth, Winona. But oh my God. That's, white male privilege. There you go.
Totally. I was like, who talks to someone like that? I don't even understand the mindset of talking to someone like that. Like,
this is like when people say like Jews run everything and run Hollywood. Like, no. This is not,
No. So you would think that all of this would be like a career-ending scandal for Mel Gibson, but it isn't. And he continued to have like multiple opportunities to make comebacks over the years, as you'll hear. Also in 2006, after 26 years of marriage, Mel and Robin separated, but she didn't officially file for divorce until 2009, just a few days after the press published photos of Mel Gibson and a Russian singer named Oksana. Oh, I can't even pronounce his last name.
I know what you mean.
Grigoriev.
Okay.
Sure. Let's just say that. They were like frolicking on a beach together. Don't feel too bad for Robin because they didn't have a prenup. And she.
Yay, Robin.
Yeah. And when the divorce was finalized, she got more than $425 million.
Holy shitballs.
Yeah. Good for you, Robin.
You know what? Yeah, but was it worth it? I'm going to say yes. But
It might be, but
yeah.
she had seven of his
Seven kids
yeah.
by him. And she just had to listen to his shit. And
Yeah.
he was a drunken asshole at home all the time.
Totally.
And she did all the child rearing, and she had to do all that emotional labor, they call it.
Yeah.
Ugh,
She
fuck this guy.
She earned the money. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
seriously, fuck this guy. So after she filed for divorce officially, Mel and Osana they went public. She went to award shows with him, and then before the end of the year, they had a daughter together, born October 2009. Little baby, Lucia. Cute name.
Oh, wow. She'd be 10 now.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. I wonder if she looks like Mel Gibson. I'm gonna have to look it up.
We're gonna have to look it up. Okay.
All right. By April 2010, Osana and Mel split. She claimed he was physically abusive and filed a restraining order, and he retaliated by filing a restraining order against her.
Of course.
Super cool.
Classic move.
Yeah. The Los Angeles County Police started an investigation, and she turned over a bunch of recordings that she had made of his abusive, racist rants, which were then "quote unquote" leaked to the press.
Who got them? I wonder who got them.
Yeah, who would do?
I wonder how they got there.
Who would do such a thing? So, at one point, he struck her in the mouth. He knocked out one of her teeth. He bruised her eye. Then he would beg her for forgiveness, and she gave it to him. She forgave him for a little while. She says she was in love with him. She wanted to protect his image.
No, it's classic abuse cycle.
Yeah, she, fixed her teeth, put makeup on the black eye, and she was out there helping him promote his movies. But then when the recordings came out, I picked out a few gems for you.
Oh, please.
Okay. This one, I'm going to say it might be my favorite. I am going to come and burn the fucking house down, but you will blow me first.
I'm sorry. He's so dumb. He's so plain. He's so simple too. He's not a smart person.
Yeah. Well, it's good that she's going to blow him first.
Jesus
not after.
Christ.
He'll be too tired after he burns the house down for it. So good job. Good list. You look like a fucking pig in heat. If you get raped by a pack of N-words, it will be your fault.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He also threatened her life. I'll put you in the fucking rose garden, you cunt. You understand that? Because I'm capable of it. Do you understand that? Get a fucking restraining order for what? What are you going to get a restraining order for? For me being a drunk and disorderly? For hitting you for what? And finally, when she asked him what kind of man is it that would hit a woman when she's holding their child, he hit her twice in the face, by the way, while she was holding their baby. He replied, "You know what? You fucking deserved it."
Oh,
all of this is on tape.
Oh, shit.
I couldn't even bring myself to go listen to the tapes because I started listening and I was like, oh, I can't listen.
You could find a clip and it's Howard Stern playing it. And he and Robin, it's kind of when they just laugh at him because he's such a fool and such an idiot. And Howard Stern said, I knew this guy was anti-Semitic for years. And I told people, because they tried to get him on the Howard Stern show. He said, absolutely not. Because he knew that the guy was in. Yeah. So I know you're not a huge fan of his, but he's on the right side sometimes.
Yeah.
And listening to them laugh at him because he's such a fucking doofus. Like he's panting really hard.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
I took there's some some transcriptions of the recordings, and it'll be like insert panting, panting here, panting really hard. I'm like, ugh. He's terrible. And actually, Howard Stern's going to come up here in a minute. So,
good.
Mel pleaded no contest to misdemeanor battery for hitting her, and he got probation and court-ordered counseling and a whopping $600 fine.
Are you kidding me?
$600. I just wrote LOL $600. Like,
yeah, that's so nothing.
That's ridiculous. There were a few repercussions for his behavior this time. His agency dropped him. He was supposed to do a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and he pulled out. And Mel Gibson was supposed to be in The Hangover 2, but some of the cast and crew was not having it. So he didn't get to do it. I didn't see Hangover 2.
It's not very good. I mean, the first one's fun,
yeah,
but you can watch it a couple of times and then it's like, all right, it's not rewatchable that really. And the second one was not very funny.
Well, I heard that the main instigator of not wanting Mel Gibson there was Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, he doesn't take that shit.
Yeah, and I was like, good for him. That dude's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. So in 2011, Osana and Mel divorced, and after a messy court battle, she was awarded $750,000. Doesn't seem like very much. Joint legal custody, and she got their house in like Sherman Oaks or whatever that they could live at until their daughter turns 18. So she's going to be 19 this year. So I imagine that, because then she was supposed to sell the house, and all of that money goes into a trust for their daughter. So.
Well, she's 10. She's 10 this year. So.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they got 8 more years.
Yes. A few years later, she went on Howard Stern's show and apparently talked some shit about Mel Gibson. And then a judge ruled that she had violated a confidentiality clause, and she lost half of that money.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oksana, no.
Why would you even go on the Howard Stern show? Because you're going to say something.
Well, if you signed something like that, yeah, you can't be on a show that has like 10 million people that listen every day.
Yeah. So after the recordings were released, Mel sat down for an interview with Deadline to defend himself and talk about the real victim himself.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he's the real victim here. He was secretly recorded, you guys.
I can't stand that thing that like, oh, she set him up. I'm like, but he did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you called me out of the blue and I was really drunk, I would never say any of those things. I wouldn't threaten to kill you. I would be upset, like you woke me up or something, but I would never. I wouldn't use the N-word. I wouldn't say,
You woke me up. I'm going to come over there and I'm going to blow up your house, but you're going to blow me
You're
first.
Gonna blow me first, and you're going to smile about it. That's what he also says in the transcript. You're going to smile about it. You're like, well, how do you do that? I don't know. Don't ask me.
I don't know.
Such a creep. He's such a creep.
He's such a creep. So here's what he said to Deadline. I've never treated anyone badly. In a discriminatory way based on their gender, race, religion, or sexuality, period. I don't blame some people for thinking that, though, from the garbage they heard on those leaked tapes, which have been edited. You have to put it all in the proper context of being in an irrationally heated discussion at the height of a breakdown, trying to get out of a really unhealthy relationship. It's one terribly awful moment in time said to one person in the span of one day and doesn't represent what I truly believe or how I've treated people my entire life.
Yeah. In other words, bitches be cray.
Yeah. Like, I said those things, but I don't mean them.
Right.
Even though I say them all the time, I don't mean it. Like,
do you have that, like, Whoopi Goldberg supported him?
Yeah. Yeah. She and Jodie Foster also is one of those people that supported him, still supports him. Robert Downey Jr. does too. The Robert Downey Jr. one, I don't know how you could support someone who's so anti-Semitic and racist, and who beats up his wife when they're holding their baby and all those things.
But RDJ, as I like to call him, he's had terrible drug and alcohol problems, like for more than half of his life. So it would be like if he was trying to explain this to my brother, R.I.P. But my brother would have been like, if I've said terrible things too. Like it's very hard to knock down someone you think has a problem like you do.
Yeah, and I think also Robert Downey Jr. He's been through it. He's been through the shit. He knows like how hard it is to get sober. And Mel Gibson's the one who hired him when no one else would.
And also, here's another thing, because I've been around famous people before. They're super charming and charismatic. And if they're not being mean to you and they're being really nice to you, you feel special.
Right.
And so you don't buy all that other stuff necessarily. You're like, oh, that's not the Mel I know.
Right.
He must have been really drunk. He must have been provoked. She must have been egging him on to do these things. But it's like, okay, that one thing, fine. But what about all the other things he said? And what about the fact that he just hit her? Yeah. I mean, come on.
It's almost like Mel Gibson's an actor and he could trick people by behaving a certain way.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So it's frustrating. So at this point, he's been convicted of beating up his girlfriend, including one time when she was holding their baby. He's said racist, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic things on tape. But Jodie Foster still believes in him. So she cast him in 2011's The Beaver, which no one saw because it sounds stupid and Mel Gibson is gross.
Yeah.
In 2011, see, here we go. Here comes the opportunity train for Mel Gibson. It's like they want him to succeed so bad, and they just want to hope that he's not really this awful sexist, racist, anti-Semitic prick, but he is. Also in 2011, I guess to prove that he's not anti-Semitic, Mel partnered with writer-director Joe Esterhaus on a movie about the Maccabees, which I'd never heard of, so I had to look this up. It's about a group of Jewish rebel warriors. And Esterhaus finished a script, and then Mel sat on it for months. And then in April 2012, Esterhaus wrote a letter to Mel accusing him of sabotaging their film because he, quote, hates Jews. In the letter, he details a bunch of incidents in which he heard Gibson express extremely racist views. It was a private letter, but it was somehow accidentally leaked to the internet. Oops. Joe Esterhaus claims his son has recordings of Mel saying these awful things, and, well, that's not hard to believe. Now, is it?
No, and Esterhaus is a piece of work in and of himself.
Yeah, so in response, Mel Gibson said that he still intends to make the film, but that was 8 years ago. But it will not be based on Esterhaus's script, which he calls substandard. Also not hard to believe, considering Joe Esterhaus wrote Flashdance and Showgirls. So there you go. In 2014, Mel started dating Rosalind Ross. They're still together. He's 63 and she's 28.
Oh, great.
Gross. They have a son together. This is Mel's 9th child.
Wow.
I have no idea who she was, so I had to look this up. She's an equestrian vaulter. Which I was like, that's fucking made up. That's made up. Apparently, it's like gymnastics, but on horseback.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
And I was like, damn, okay.
She's got good core strength.
Apparently. And I hope she never has to find out if she could take a punch, because fucking Mel Gibson's a piece of shit. She won a gold medal at the World Equestrian Games in 2010. And apparently that's a thing. So once again, you'd think being box office poison and a shitty person would be enough to not get you hired anymore in Hollywood. But in 2016, Mel directed the World War II drama Hacksaw Ridge. Did you see that one?
Hell no.
No, I didn't either, because fuck Mel Gibson.
Right.
Nominated for Academy Award for Best Picture, Best all this other shit's come out about him. Everything I've said before this, but the Academy's like, but it's really good. And we like war movies. So Academy Award nomination for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best sound mixing, best film editing. And it won 2 of those. And it made $164 $164 million worldwide. So not everyone in Hollywood is super cool with Mel Gibson's comeback. The same year that he was making all the rounds for Hacksaw Ridge, Nick Kroll was hosting the Independent Spirit Awards. And he said, we like to think that these awards is the ones without Mel Gibson. And then he said, people wondered how long it would take for Hollywood to forgive someone for anti-Semitic racist hate speech. The answer, 8 years.
I love Nick Kroll. I've seen him live. He's great.
Well, he is not wrong, sadly.
No.
In 2017, Gibson starred with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, who we should probably be putting on this list, in Daddy's Home 2, which I would never see. I didn't even see the first one. It made $180 million. I guess there's an audience for comedy starring a racist, homophobic domestic abuser. And Mel Gibson. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything about anyone else in that movie. Like I said, apparently Hollywood execs don't give a shit. As long as your movie makes money, they will continue to not give a shit. Mel Gibson has announced that he's reuniting with his Braveheart screenwriter, Randall Wallace, to make a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. I cannot wait to not see it. Mm-hmm. He also announced that he will direct another World War II movie called Destroyer. Hard fucking pass. He's starring with Sean Penn. I think maybe Sean Penn might be.
He needs to be on the list. Yep.
In a movie called The Professor and the Madman. And there's talk of him starring in another movie with Mark Wahlberg, a remake of The $6 Billion Man.
Oy.
Yeah. It was also recently announced that Mel Gibson wanted to star in 2 new projects, one called Rothschild, which is seemingly about a wealthy Jewish banking family that is kind of at the heart of a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Great.
Good choice, Mel Gibson. And a dark Christmas movie called Fat Man. I spend a lot of time with racist, sexist, homophobes during the holidays. They're called my family, and I'm not going to pay to see another one in the theater, so another hard fucking pass for me on that one. I do want to say that Seth Rogen had a really great tweet about Mel Gibson starring in a Christmas movie that simply said, "Ho ho, Holocaust denier."
Good for you, Seth Rogen.
More celebrities should be. And if you go online, you can find there are quite a few celebrities were like, why is Mel Gibson still a fucking thing? He shouldn't be a thing.
He's had his time, by the way. He's had plenty of chances. He's been more than lucky. I mean, why do, ugh, God, I'm so nauseous.
So
he's a creep.
Serious creep. So I wrote here, Mel Gibson is such a fucking creep. He blames all of his racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, violent behavior on his alcoholism. And I know that addiction can make you do and say terrible things. We've talked about this, but I don't believe that it can make you say things that you don't already have in your heart. He always portrays himself as the wronged one. So I wrote down some nice choice quotes from things he said, defending himself. So he said, imagine the worst moment you have and then being recorded and broadcast to the world. It wasn't meant to be public. So he's mad he's been caught.
Yeah,
I'm mad that basically, is what he's...
And I'm going to say this. I doubt it's his worst moment.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I don't think that's his worst moment. I think it was luck of the draw. She got him that day and got enough of a recording. Mm-hmm. And he hung his own, noose, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's his worst moment. No. I think when he was younger and whatever, he was probably way worse.
I totally agree. He also said, I was loaded and angry and arrested. This is when he was in Malibu. He said this to Variety's podcast Payback. I was recorded illegally by an unscrupulous police officer who was never prosecuted for that crime. And then it was made public by him for profit and by members of, we'll call it the press. So not fair. I guess as who I am, I'm not allowed to have a nervous breakdown ever. It's not his fault, you guys.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I have more of that too. It's like I've never discriminated against anyone or done anything that supports that reputation.
Bullshit.
And for one episode in the back of a police car on 8 double tequilas to sort of dictate all of my life's, to all the work, life's work and beliefs and everything else that I have and maintain for my life is really unfair. It's unfair, you guys. He's the real victim.
Oh, God. And that means he still has hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
From all that. And he's still working. And I looked up his IMDb page. He has all these things in production right now.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost anything.
No, he hasn't. And, I'll just kind of end it here with a little rant I wrote where I reject the notion that somehow Mel Gibson has earned his way back and deserves another chance. He is not sorry. He hasn't earned shit. And, for a few years, he didn't get to make movies that he wanted to make. Boo fucking who. He is an unrepentant bigot. He doesn't deserve this comeback. There are plenty of actors, writers, directors out there with interesting stories to tell. They are not violent, anti-Semitic assholes, and Hollywood should hire them. That is my Mel Gibson.
Bravo. That was well done.
Thank you. Oh, I hate him. He's such a fucking creep.
Okay, so would you like to hear someone who's not a creep?
I am ready to hear about someone who's not a creep.
All right, let's transition to that. I'm going to take a sip of wine. So, Sonia, you and I are co-hosts of the show called The Dorking Out Show, where we dork out about things.
Yes, we are.
And one of the things I told you I was dorking, we talk about a movie or a thing, and we talk about it for like 45 minutes or so. And then we each go back and forth a thing that we're dorking about recently. And I told you about this. It's Alan Alda.
Oh,
and Alan Alda is an actor born 1936. He's a staunch feminist. And he fought to pass the ERA in the 70s. When Alan Alda was young, he contracted polio. And he worked very hard to get healthy. And one of his doctors was a woman. And he's always respected women since then. He's born 1936. He's 82 years old. He's been married to Arlene Alda since 1957. They're still together. And Alan has a podcast called Clear and Vivid. And it's just him talking about communication. He geeks out about communication. How do you communicate? How do you tell stories? How do you pass information to people? And on his show recently, he's had Michael J. Fox, Sarah Vowell. He had the cast of MASH on recently. And it was one of the best things I've heard in my life. And in 2009, 10 years ago, he created the Alan Alda Center for Communication Science. And it's at Stony Brook University, which is in Long Island. And basically their mission is to help scientists and health professionals communicate complex ideas in clear, vivid, and engaging ways. So he helps scientists and doctors and specialists talk to lay people about really complex things so that people can just understand them better.
That's amazing.
And it's a nonprofit. And he teaches on the campus there. The podcast, once again, is called Clear and Vivid. It's always entertaining. He's so smart. He's so engaged and he's so respectful. And a big thing for him is empathy and listening to other people and really trying to figure out where other people come from and how they arrive to their opinions. And then how do you communicate to them if you feel like they're on the wrong path? How do you communicate to people? He's so wonderful. And so I wanted to end the show not on that creep that's from Poughkeepsie, Australia. I want to talk about another New Yorker, Alan Alda. So that's who our non-creep is today.
I love Alan Alda, and I am so glad that you picked him. I just super love Alan Alda, and I always have, and I have such fond memories of watching MASH. I watched him a lot. I watched MASH a lot when I was younger. Hawkeye Pierce is one of my all-time favorite TV characters because I always just loved how smart he was and how he always handled things with like good humor. He was a very funny character. And and that warm feeling has always transferred to Alan Alda. And it's always cool to hear that somebody is as awesome as you think they are. And he's so great.
Did you ever see a movie called Betsy's Wedding?
Yes, I did.
I think that's on our list. I think it should be on our list. Like, that's one of my favorite wedding movies ever. I think he's like a talented director and writer and actor. And there's a clip I sent you on Twitter, and it was him and Mike Farrell. And Mike Farrell was on MASH with him, and he was teaching Mike Farrell how to download a podcast.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. And he's so warm and friendly, and just the opposit of Mel Gibson. Like let Alan Alda make more movies.
Yeah,
okay?
No kidding. He recently won the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yep.
And, it was broadcast on like TNT or whatever. And I didn't watch it, but I went on just to watch the segment where they give Alan Alda his award, just so I could see Alan Alda and to see all of his clips from his shows and his movies. And really good pick, Margo. He's such a good guy.
He's a wonderful guy. Okay, so I guess we put this episode to bed.
Yes,
Mel Gibson / Alan Alda. Good. Okay, so we will be back next week. I will tell you the story. It's another actor, but he's also a comedian. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is yet. You know who it is.
I'm sure it's going to be hilarious.
He's a total creep. But I'm finding out more about him from his childhood. So I'm like, ooh, there might be some roots here as to why he's so creepy. So it's going to be interesting. So we'll be back next week with that. So please follow us on all the social media. Please subscribe to the show if you like what you're hearing. It's What a Creep Podcast. If you can leave us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts, that'd be amazing. That would help us get a little more. We're getting more and more numbers, by the way, every day. People are finding out about the show. So thank you so much. Tell a friend. You could follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow What a Creep Podcast. And unfortunately on Twitter, it's @CreepPod, which is not my favorite thing.
I don't think that's unfortunate. I think it's catchy. I'm gonna look on the bright side. I'm gonna say it's catchy.
It's catchy as shit. So follow us @CreepPod, and also on Instagram, What a Creep Podcast. And then Sonia, where can they find you?
And you can find me at the Dorking Out Show. dorkingout.com, and you can find me on Twitter at The Sonia Show. And
you can find...
go ahead.
Sorry.
Nope. You go.
You could find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's on social media for Facebook. I'm mostly active on Twitter and Instagram. And you can also find me at brooklynfitchick.com. And I forgot to mention our email. It's whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening to the show, can you just send us an email and say hi? Because nobody's written to us yet. So I just want to make sure it works.
We want to know the email's working. And if you have stories about creeps in your life that you want to share,
people you want us to cover.
We take requests.
We do take requests. So bring it on over.
Yeah, and follow us on all the channels, but don't follow us too closely.
Yeah, don't be a creep.
Thank you for listening to us talk about creeps. You can follow us at What a Creep Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
But don't follow us too closely.
You can email us your creepy stories at whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com.
But please keep your dick pics to yourself.